Let's switch gears here because we have two of the ACC's finest in the house.
No more Georgetown?
And we're going to move on from Georgetown. We gave them their flowers. It's time to keep this bus moving forward. And we're going to talk about the Tar Heels and the game just went final 72-68 win over Syracuse in the Dome. This one, close, but still manageable for the Tar Heels. Tyler, what was your biggest takeaway from this game?
First of all, for me, I've always said this. We struggle on the road. The Tar Heels, UNC hasn't done well on the road. We've played very comfortable and we play very good at home, but taking the show on the road has been an issue. And I thought before the season started, we have a good core coming back and a lot of solid guys coming back. And I thought this team would have been, a more veteran team in college, and they would have been able to go and get some victories in some of these places that are tough to play, and especially in the ACC. Any conference road win is tough. And tonight, what I take away is, first of all, Pete Nance had a big night, 21 points, and 6 for 17. That's a lot of shots. But anyways, that traditional zone, they put two bigs, and the way I saw it is I thought him and Baycott, I thought Pete did a really good job around that free throw line area where they kind of just threw him the ball, and then he can face up and opens up the whole floor. You had the shooters, and then I thought the high-low action with him and Baycott was key tonight. But for me also, we had some bench minutes. I thought Tyler Nickel came in there, played, and Jalen Washington got some minutes, which to me, depth has been an issue for UNC. And if we can get some of these young guys acclimated and then maybe get their confidence up and we can rely a little bit more on our bench, I think that's going to be key for Carolina, especially if they're going to make a deep tournament run, because these guys coming off last year, Caleb, RJ, all these guys are playing these heavy minutes, and we weren't really utilizing the bench that much. And I think it played a factor late. So to me, getting these young guys into this game and getting them some minutes was huge, but also getting this win, against Syracuse on the road was big for them.
Can I ask you this, Tyler? What do you think about Seth Trimble? Because I thought last season, whenever Carolina made their run, it was when Brady Manick took ownership, and not just take ownership, but he was a guy that was on the floor that would just catch it and move it right away.
The one thing I like about Seth Trimble, first of all, I like Seth Trimble a lot. And the reason I like him is because he affects the game in a way from a competitive nature where he gets out, he plays hardcore defense, he gets out and makes the right plays, and he doesn't necessarily put so much emphasis on scoring. And I think when you have a player that doesn't live or die by how many points they score, they just want to go out there and compete. I think that's something that he's really bringing to this team. Obviously, losing Brady Manick, we're realizing how important that piece was, not only from like the leadership, the competitive nature, and everything that he brought to the Tar Heels. I felt like that was contagious, and the team kind of fed off that last year. Not to mention, he really opened up the court for Baycott as well. He could knock down the outside shot, and I think he played really well, and they worked really well. It really helped Baycott too. But for me, this team, I've said it before, and before this game, RJ Davis had scored 10-plus points in every game except for the game against Citadel. And tonight he had 9, but RJ Davis had been playing unbelievable. And I said he was the biggest X factor in the country. And if UNC wants to make a deep tournament run again and meet these expectations, I think it's going to come heavily rely on how well RJ Davis is playing. And I think he's going to be the X factor, come late in the season.
Well, he was concussed. He was concussed at the end of that game. Sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
On that note, we talk about Caleb Love, and it felt like in the beginning of the season, he was just so inefficient, just took any shot. But tonight, 4 for 7 from the field, 15 points for him. How important is it that he's finding more efficiency and more so waiting for the game to come to him?
Well, I think that's an understatement. The problem I have is I just feel like, guys are living so much on how many points they have. And I don't think we should content Caleb, because Caleb's a type of player that feeds off of energy. And as a Carolina fan, we've all been there. We're like, he makes a step back three, contested, just drains it. And we're like, yeah. But then he misses a
on
few.
social media.
Yeah. And then he misses a few. And then now we're all like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he really does a good job of blocking it out from what I can tell. But for Caleb Love to be efficient, it would be big for this team as well. But also, he can impact the game in so many different ways. He's athletic to get out and play great defense and control the game from that aspect. Even if he's not scoring, I think he can find ways to be beneficial. And to me, scoring is just such a small part of the game. Because there's so many different ways. If you make a hard cut, you move without the basketball in the right way, it's going to open up the court for everybody.
UNC had 20 assists tonight too, by the way. And a lot of that may be because of the way the zones is. So you have to pass the ball more. You're shifting it, trying to shift the zone. There was great high-low action to Baycott down low, and they were able to finally shift the zone. But when they're playing like that, though, and sharing the ball, how dangerous can this team be?
Well, I was at the NC State game at the Dean Dome, and it was late in the first half, and they had 1 assist. And I always keep up with how many assists they have, because that's, to me, has been a critical part and like a key indicator of how well this team is playing. I think the more assists we get shows that we're sharing the ball, we're not being selfish. And when we have high assists, this team is almost unbeatable. And the other thing is, I was telling my friend, I was like, man, if we go a game and we have 2 assists, it's going to be unbelievable. And if we win, we're up. I couldn't believe it. But you're right. 20 assists for this team is great. And the more assists this team has, I think it's just going to show more success.
Do you think playing against a 2-3 zone in a game where Love hasn't been efficient over the last 4 or 5 games, that kind of helped him get into rhythm and that could help affect him moving forward in the next few?
I think maybe scheme had a little bit to do with it, because you're playing against a zone, so you're going to work on that, and you're going to move without the ball. So maybe there was some emphasis on that, but I can't really pinpoint it. I think, as a college kid, sometimes mentally it's tough. You put too much pressure on yourself, so I think that could play a little bit. But also, sometimes these shots that he makes, they're not high percentage shots. I mean, they're tough shots. Right. So it's not like I would expect him to be a guy that comes out and, shoots an impressive percentage from some of these shots that he takes.